Hey guys, this is Jon
and Austin,
and this is another episode of the Meatgistics podcast. So for today, Austin, I've got some Camel for you to try.
It doesn't look or smell bad.
I pulled out the big guns on this one. We are using Walton's Ultimate Steak and Roast Rub because one, it said Camel steak on it, and anything I can use that on, I will. And two, I was nervous about it until I took them out of their package and they had no smell, individually wrapped them, put them in a sous vide cooker at 135 degrees for quite a few hours, and then we finished them up on the side sear box. They smell like steak.
Now you have me nervous. So you had them at 135. We're not really killing bacteria at that point.
Oh, we cooked them. They're 148, I think.
Okay,
so they're fine.
Still got me nervous.
Right.
Thinking wild game should still be cooked up to 165.
Absolutely not.
I was okay with this, and now I'm nervous.
I don't know if there's a spinalis on this or not. I don't know what cut this is. It just said steak, so we're going to pick a piece right from the middle.
There's some fat and marbling in it.
I don't want the fat because
it could be really good or really bad.
Oh, it's going to be that would be really bad. So cut off all these extra pieces of fat, and mine has a huge piece of fat. So let's recut. I mean, smell-wise, it smells fine.
It smells like beef, to be honest.
Okay, ready?
No, I'm not ready, but okay.
It's delicious.
It's very tender.
That is
very beef-like.
Really good.
So is Camel normally eaten? Like, is it like a...
I could buy it.
My first thought is like, I don't know. I think of Camel and I think of the Disney movie Aladdin. So are camels elsewhere besides like the Middle East? I don't know where camels are actually from.
I think they're also in Australia.
Oh,
man. Brought here. They say camels originated from the U.S.
No.
Yep.
Come on.
Look it up.
No.
Look it up.
Don't believe that for an instant.
Look it up. Fact check me in real time.
Wow.
So they originated from here, but they're like non-existent here now?
They were
about 45 million years ago.
Extinct from here. Same thing with horses, but there were no horses until Columbus and his boys came back.
Yeah, that's weird. It says camelids. I don't know what that means. Originated in North America.
I know so much that is so unhelpful. Like that would not do me any good in general.
But did you see what the land masses actually looked like 45 million years ago?
I don't care.
Yeah, they were a lot closer together. So.
Yeah, we wouldn't get an argument.
I was right.
The world wasn't here 45 million years ago, so.
That's why it tastes so good, because it's from here.
Yeah, I don't.
USA. I'm even wearing my patriotic Meatgistics shirt.
Well, I was joking with Jon. I was like, I've only ever seen dead camel. I've never seen a camel in real life. So,
have you ever seen a camel in real life?
A camel?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. I feel like most people have been to a normal zoo that has camels.
Last time I saw a camel was
maybe like a Barnum. The circus
is another one.
That's a good one. Where I've never seen it at our zoo. So,
have you ever been to another zoo?
No.
He's like dangerously.
I get
isolated.
out. Don't worry about me. I don't go to zoo. When am I going to a zoo? You should be worried if I've been to a lot of zoos. Who am I going with? You know what I mean? The guy in his 20s and 30s. All right, where are you going? I'm going to check out the sweet zoo nearby. Yeah, red flag on that guy.
The fat on it, I'd prefer not to eat.
I didn't even try it.
I wouldn't.
Oh, so
You've eaten a lot. I only ate half the original piece you cut me because I'm still scared.
I've got a piece of gristle in here, so while I'm going to take this out of my mouth, it is not reflective of the taste. It was just a piece of that tough sinew, and that will occasionally kick in my gag reflex.
Sinew? Is it sinew?
Sinew, whatever. But to prove that it's not the camel, I'm taking another bite.
Yeah.
I like it. Camel is now the only thing I want to eat.
I think it's pretty good. I still just have a part of me that's scared inside because, yeah, wild game, not cooked up to temp.
I wonder what that hump is all fat. I wonder what that would be like to use for sausage. Camel was excellent. One of the better Willet barbecues in my mind. Tastes very similar to beef.
Yeah.
Very similar.
When I walked in the room, the first thing I could smell it smelled like a beefsteak.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, we're not going to vomit on this episode. This is fantastic.
And we definitely didn't. I'm actually eating quite a bit of it because I'm enjoying it immensely. That is not the only thing I brought for us to eat today.
Are these both the same?
Nope.
Oh, good.
Two different.
Is that a Cheetos?
The outside of it is a little chewy that I don't like.
I will say that actually, yeah, looking from the outside, it looks rubbery. It has a funky look on
the outside,
on the edge there.
But right in the middle, it was perfectly tender.
On the top, it looked like normal steak, just the side.
Just the sides. Strange.
That's weird. I don't know.
So we've got a flaming hot Doritos flavored stick and a spicy sweet chili.
Wait, is this Doritos too? This doesn't say Doritos.
Oh,
it just says
it was
Flamin' Hot.
Because this one's definitely Doritos.
It's registered trademark, so it's got to be Cheetos.
Oh,
Cheetos
awesome.
are called Flamin' Hot.
We'll cut some of those, eat some of that. So I like the spicy sweet chili. And since we loved the Pocky One Chip Challenge snack stick that we made, I thought these would be cool to try.
There's a lot of sugar.
Meh. I like the Camel better. I actually don't like that.
Way too much teriyaki and soy flavor. Yeah, lots of soy. And more soy sauce.
No.
It's got MSG. Okay.
Can I interrupt? I feel like you know the quotes on like on a movie, and you're like, I've never even heard of that guy. I feel like next time I pick up a package of that or what the Flamin' Hot stuff you got, it should have a quote that says like worse than Camel. John.
That would be the spicy sweet chili flavored meat stick Doritos. Not good.
It's not absolutely horrible.
It's
just it'd be better if there was not all the soy in it. There's like 3 ingredients in there that say soy.
Surprising that you dislike it less than I do, and you hate everything soy, and I like soy. All right, like soy sauce. So this is the Flaming Hot, so I assume it's the Cheetos.
Gotta be Cheetos.
That's better. Yep. That's actually pretty good. It's not quite as good as the Pocky One Chip Challenge ones we made, but it's pretty good. It's got a little heat to it, but nothing serious.
Yeah, I don't see any soy, and MSG is higher on the list, so I'm a fan.
And it's got 5 grams of protein. I'm eating the rest of this. You can have that. All right. So Camel, yes. 1 or 2 snack stick, yes. No, we're not doing too bad. Let's get this out of the way. I'm going to put this in the fridge so that we can let other people try it. This past weekend, I got an awesome opportunity to go wild turkey hunting at this event called the Kansas One Shot Turkey Hunt. It used to be the governor's turkey hunt, but that whole thing disbanded. And so this was either the first, second year under this new thing.
Well, because the governor won't support it anymore.
It's different than just that.
Yeah.
They disbanded the whole, there's a bunch of stuff. We'll talk later. But got an opportunity to go do this by agreeing to make jerky for 70 landowners. So I made enough for each landowner to get a pound of jerky. So that took quite some time.
Wait, like pound finished product?
Pound finished product.
Oh, wow.
Sure. Yeah. So get up there and we'd all talked, and, Brett and I were joking, I'm going to shoot the first thing I see, get in, get out. So the night before we meet our guides, and my guide and I were just like mind melded. Like instantly we started talking, and I was like, oh, I love this guy. I'm like, he is just me. It was almost impossible to understand how many of the same opinions on things we held. In fact, we were talking about cities we hate at one point, and we both said, or he said Philadelphia. I was like, oh, I hate Philadelphia too. And he said another city I hate. And in my mind, I said, please say Houston, Texas. Please say, he said Houston, Texas. Like, all right, we're best friends, basically. So I got along with him amazingly well. So as we're getting ready to go out the first day, the lady who's kind of putting it all together was like, there's a reason I put you with him. I was like, oh yeah, what's that? I'm like, you must have guessed pretty good. She goes, he's won this a couple of times. And I was like, oh no. So we're getting out. First of all, we get out of the truck, start walking to the blind, and the stars out in just Eureka, so different than what we see here. Mm-hmm. Like just the light pollution from Wichita is unbelievable.
Yeah.
So that was amazing. We get out there and I see his gun. And it's this really nice over under. So I asked him about it. He's like, yeah, this is what they give you if you win. So I was like, oh, I want this gun now. So he's saying, there'll be some turkeys coming from here and here. We could hear them gobbling. And they came in and one was coming. It was a good sized turkey, but he was looking at it. And the way they do turkey grading or scoring is each point or each pound that the turkey weighs is 1 point. You get 2 points for every inch that its beard is, and you get 10 points for how long its spurs are. This turkey had either broken off or something had happened and had like no spurs. So he's like, you can shoot that 100%. He's like, that's a shootable turkey. It's a good looking, or it's a good turkey. He goes, but that's not going to win it because of the spurs. So I was like, okay. I'm like, let's try and win this thing. So don't shoot it. Wait around. No other turkeys come in. So we go to this other spot and we're in a tree line. There's a field in front of us and a field behind us, which we don't have access to. And these huge toms are back there running around. They will not come over. And he's trying everything. So eventually, we just give up. So we go to the banquet that night with this understanding that we'll be back in that blind that we ended in first thing in the morning. So I got to wake up at 3 for the second day in a row, 3 o'clock in the morning.
Which is only like an hour early for you.
Fair point. I'll tell you this. I did not hit snooze at all. Like I was just like, yep, we're going hunting.
Not bad.
So we go to this banquet and, they have small banquets on Thursday and Friday night, and then the big one on Saturday. So the first night they're doing those card games, where they rip the card in half. So I bought some tickets or some cards for that. I go up to the girl, I'm the first person. And so she starts handing me some cards, and the guy who's running goes, no, he gets to pick his cards. And I'm like, I want the card she was going to hand me. Like, give me that card. So I take that, go, we're sitting down, and the prize is this hunting blind and some decoys. And wouldn't you know it, I won. So I'm freaking out, going crazy. And I tell the girl at the end of the night, I'm like, it was your card. It was the card that you picked that won. So I go back the next night and I'm like, well, I got to try and win again. And this time it's Bushnell range finding binoculars. Very expensive. So go ahead and buy more tickets. Same girl. I'm like, give me, pick a card for me. So she picked a card from the middle of the deck for me. I'm like, you gave me the top one last time. I'm like, all right, I'll also take the top one. And then I picked some other cards. Well, it turned out everything I had was like the ace that was on the top and then like 2s and 3s. So we're sitting there and, they do anyone got a face card? All right, well, you're out. And they do those things. So he gets down and he's like, finally, he's like, all right, it's the 3 of clubs. And I was like, that's me 2 nights in a row. Because your father and I always talk about how people don't celebrate. Like, you have to celebrate. Turns out I probably should have read the room a little bit. People were not pleased that I won 2 nights in a row. So I'm like, so I won these Bushnell range finding binoculars with this awesome strap. It goes to my chest. I can just go around and glass things. That's what us in the binocular community call it, glassing things.
You should.
So I also got like this low chair and a couple other things. So I gave the chair to my guide. It's like, whatever. What am I going to use it for? So I go back and tell the girl, I'm like, this is amazing. We're going 3 for 3 tomorrow. She's like, I have bad news. I won't be here tomorrow. And I was like, of course you will. What are you talking about? You will be here tomorrow. She's like, no, I have a country music concert. I don't think she said country music. She said the name. And I go, who is that? And they said, it's country music. And I said very loudly, country music sucks. Come back here. And so I don't think I was making any friends in that direct vicinity. So we go back the next night and this is the final night. And I bought more tickets. And right at the end, they introduced this extra deck of cards, which was not discussed. And your dad and Kurt Ratzliff and his wife were saying, well, you got to go buy tickets to that. What if it's in that deck? And I'm like, it's not on principle. I will not do this. Just on principle. This is nonsense and I won't buy them. So it turns out the winning card was from a deck I had, not the one that was just sold, right? Because your cards get rolled over every night. So the cards I bought the first 2 nights are eligible for the Colt Python, which is the main prize in the third night. Right.
That's cool.
Yeah. So, but they ended up being ticket or cards from the night of the banquet. Okay. So he's doing his whole like spiel, and I've got one card left in that he hasn't called out. I'm like, oh, this, and I've been jokingly telling people like, they might have to sneak me out of here if I win this. So they call the ticket and it's not me. So, I was disappointed because I wanted to win, but I was like, okay, that's cool. The guy who won it, great reaction, obviously happy. And then he's talking to the guy, and the auctioneer, and the guy goes, well, listen, guys, I know he won this, but he just donated this thigh bone turkey call. So it's like a whistle, you blow into it, it makes a turkey call. And he wants to give it to somebody, just draw a winner. And everyone's like, yeah. So he draws a winner, and it's my card. And it's my card that won from the second night, the 3 of clubs or whatever. So I get up and I'm celebrating again. But as I'm walking up, I'm like, bad vibes in the room. I was like, I'm going to donate it to my guide. I'm going to give it to my guide. I'm going to give it to my guide. So I grab it, walk over, give my guide a hug. And he and I text now where I give it to him, give him a hug. And then as I'm doing that, there were way more people here that third night. So the guy who was running the card game runs up. He's like, wait, no, I have to explain what has happened here because, and then he explained it. But yeah, so I have a turkey a really nice blind. I have 2 lovely decoys right back here. I have my Bushnell range finding binoculars, which we will bring on golfing trips for sure.
That's not bad.
Why would you laugh at that? That's going to be amazing.
I'm just laughing because you should have seen John when he first showed me that he got those. He had them like all strapped on and walks in like all prissy into my office and like
we do.
Yeah. And just words don't describe. Yeah. I tried to get a picture of it. I was like, I'm gonna post it on Meatgistics, and he took off sprinting. Yep. So
ran away after you got me with the shorts and boots. Now I'm a little bit more leery of that. But anyways, it was a great time. Did eventually get my turkey. Slightly small. It didn't score quite as well as your dad's turkey. Chris Kobach won the whole thing.
Yeah, I heard that.
Attorney General. But it was an awesome time. One thing that really surprised me is they spent a lot of time talking about like the demise of the wild turkey. Like their numbers apparently are on the severe downside.
Maybe in general, but I've heard in Kansas that they are far superior to what they had been.
My guide was talking about how 10 years ago he would see like flocks of like a couple hundred of them. Oh. And now you do not see that anymore.
Okay. We're talking like 10 years ago. I'm thinking like
40 years ago. Yeah,
40 years ago.
It's more.
We should have a ton more.
We have more than we do then, but it's on the decline again. So they had this panel talking about what was going on. And my favorite guy was the guy from the government, because he said, people used to pay me thousands of dollars, the government, to go consult them on, what was going on with wild turkeys or whatever. So eventually I decided that I wanted to be part of the system. And he said, as soon as my email changed to .gov, they stopped listening to anything I said. And he was the most pessimistic, the government's not going to do anything for you, they're totally useless guy I've ever met. I went up to him after. I'm like, I really want you to know how much I appreciate your pessimism about a general distrust and dislike of the government. And he was like, they suck. He's like, they're useless. I was like, yes.
Wait, so is he out of government?
No, he's in the government still.
He's still in government.
Still in the government, just talking about how useless they are. And he's like, if something is going to change, it is going to be you guys who, make it happen. But his big thing was also like, there's one bird that we hunt during its mating season, just one. And he's like, that's, all the other birds are doing fine. This one's on the decline. That's why. So it's pretty cool. So there's 2 turkey seasons.
Yeah, is that fall?
There's a spring and a fall. I guess there didn't used to be a spring. I guess the reason that they added a spring is because they don't gobble as much in the fall. So people really like, and it is a cool sound. Like it really is. Like when we got into our blind the second day, we're sitting there and he's like, as soon as it gets almost light, like 10 minutes before, I'll start calling. He goes, we'll see where they are. And he called, and immediately from like directly behind us and above us, it was, and it was awesome sound.
Yeah.
If we could have gotten either one of those 2 big toms that were roosted right behind us down in our field, I really think we would have won because they were huge, but they just wouldn't do it.
That's cool.
Yeah. All right. Anything else?
Nope. I guess that's it for the podcast today.
Cool. We're done. All right. I did want to do something we hadn't done in a while, which is talk about a processor. This is Simon Meat Locker in Oldsburg, Kansas. They do beef, pork, lamb, and goat. And they might do some wild game some years, but apparently either they haven't updated it from last year or they've already determined that they're too busy to do deer this year, which could be, really could be. I mean, they schedule things so far out. But it says Simon Meat Locker is a family-owned and operated business that's proud to bring local livestock producers together with local consumers. We strive to provide the best quality, custom processing services to producers that may be in search of alternative markets for their locally raised livestock. We look forward to working with you and bringing rural Kansas opportunities and growth. Simon Meat Locker is a family-owned and operate. Oh, it's the same thing. They had the same thing in two places. Or probably more likely I copied and pasted and just did that wrong. But if you're in Oldsburg, Kansas or anywhere around there, support a good family company.
That's cool. I didn't know where Oldsburg was.
Where is it?
It's north of Manhattan by, I don't know, 20 miles. It's just east a little bit of Tuttle Creek Lake.
I've never even heard of Tuttle Creek Lake. Is that Tuttle or Turtle?
Tuttle. What the heck?
Sounds like a very Kansas word, Tuttle.
My map doesn't want to work.
That looks like a good sized lake, though.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what's that.
It's a little bit outside mine.
It's
1 mile back and forth to work.
Not very wide, but it's very long. Yeah. That's got to be more surface area than El Dorado or Marion.
I bet you it'd be fun to water ski on. Did you go straight long distances?
Yeah. I didn't know. To be honest, I didn't even know how long it was. I didn't think it was that long, but that's cool. Yeah. I'm gonna have to go visit them because been talking with my wife to go take a few like summer trips up to Tuttle. You can rent like the cabins around the lake and stuff. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
It's cool. It's a nice little place. It's a great place if you get in like way early to get a cheap and good place to stay after K-State football games. But those are all sold out. Yeah. Like as soon as they open up, they're sold out.
Speaking of fishing, when are we bringing Leo for fishing on the pond again?
I don't know.
Okay. I might be busy Sunday, but Saturday or Sunday evening, maybe.
Can't take Saturday.
Range finding binoculars down to a buddy's place, and we're gonna use the 6.5, shoot some things far away.
Probably next week. Okay. It's gonna be busy here. It's Next few days are gonna be kind of messy, and Saturday, the PBR is coming to town. It's going to be a big deal.
I always think of PBR, the beer, before I realize it's pro bull riding.
Yeah. It's not even the main circuit, but my son doesn't know that.
Sure, yeah, it's still cool.
Oh. He's so pumped. I told him yesterday that we were going, and his face just lights up. He's just so excited. But
it's pretty cool stuff for sure. All right, Meat Matters or anything else?
Nope, on to Meat Matters.
Okay. Ranchers and farmers in Maine face bottleneck getting meat products to consumers. So this is something we've talked about here and there. It's a well-done article, but a bill in the U.S. Senate known as the Processing Revival and Intra-State Meat Exemption, or PRIME Act, would give states the option to certify custom slaughtered meat for sale to consumers, restaurants, hotels, grocery stores, and more. Custom slaughter and processing means there is no state or federal inspection on duty, and the product is for personal use and marked not for sale, which cannot be sold. The bill is sponsored by Senators Angus King from Maine and Rand Paul from Kentucky. According to the congressional records, the legislation was introduced in the House of Representatives in 2021 by Rep. Shelley Pingree and Thomas Massey. I like that mostly because I really like Massey and Paul. The King-Rand bill is considered companion legislation. Basically, what it will give them the opportunity of doing is sell meat from custom slaughter to restaurants and to end users inside the state. So it just can't cross state lines, which would be a huge boon for some of these farms, slaughterhouses, actually all sorts of people. I don't know why they're not doing this.
I don't know. I need to read more about it, and I also I kind of want to know.
There's a link to the actual thing in the
yeah. I need to read through the whole thing, and then I need to talk to our contacts at AMP and see what their feelings are on it.
You have to have someone tell you what your opinion is on it.
No, I just
official.
I'm
just kidding.
My first thought is this doesn't sound good, to be honest.
Why?
Because then you're going to create a situation where some people are inspected and following by rules that they have to strictly adhere to, and then other people that are in the wild, wild west and they don't have to abide by things. And you're kind of creating an unfair playground.
Free market will sort that right out. If those rules actually matter in the quality of the product, they will quickly get a reputation for not being someone you want to buy meat for.
But where my ultimate concern comes back to is, what if something bad happens and it comes from one of these places that is basically running by their own set of rules and not by state or USDA inspection, and then they're going to get blamed. It's going to get turned around and give the meat industry a bad face. I disagree.
I think if that happens, that then gives the people who are either state or federal inspected a higher level of trust and more shiny from customers, because they're like, oh, they are USDA inspected.
Yeah, but
what I think is going to happen
is bad publicity for the meat industry is bad for everyone.
I don't think so. What I think happens is everything goes swimmingly, and eventually people are like, wait, why are we bothering with the USDA? And eventually the USDA just goes away.
That'll never happen.
Anarchy.
I don't know.
All it means is without government or without authority.
I like the concept. I'm just worried of where it goes.
Okay.
That's probably where I will stay for the moment. And if I remember, we'll talk about it on another future podcast after I've actually read through.
I'm sure.
I got to read through
this will continue to come up. I mean, this is a big thing in our industry.
Big thing, yeah.
All right. U.S. urges meat companies to ensure they don't use child labor. I honestly did not think that was something we need to talk about in America in 2023. I thought, that maybe was something we still needed to talk about in the 50s, 40s. But the Biden administration is urging U.S. meat processors to make sure children aren't being illegally hired to perform dangerous jobs at their plants. The call comes after an investigation found more than 100 kids working overnight for a company that cleans slaughterhouses, handling dangerous equipment like skull splitters and razor-sharp bone saws. I actually wonder how widespread this actually is. When we were talking about all the food plants burning down and the one conspiracy that I didn't like was that it was being done. One of the things I said was people are overworked and worried about other things. So they're not cleaning and doing maintenance at the same level. I would be really interested to find out who had a plant that burned down that used this cleaning service, because not cleaning properly is absolutely a fire hazard. When we're talking about animal fats, those things burn like crazy. So I wonder how prevalent this was.
It just blows my mind. Like what go through people's minds thinking that they should or can do certain things. Like, I think I've told you before, but like around here, we've had, like, I say kids, do some of the odd jobs at times. We now like
wash your truck.
We now like contract out mowing, but for 10 years we did mowing,
right?
All ourselves in house, and different people would do it, and
sometimes better than others.
And there was times when it'd be like, oh, we should have so and so do it, and we're like, no, they can't mow. They're not 18 years old. Yeah. There's rules and requirements, and some of it sounds silly. It's like you're serious, like a 17-year-old can't get on a riding lawnmower and mow, but no, can't. It just run into some issues with it. And then we can't have anybody under 18 run our Pico machines in the back for sharpening grinder plates and grinder knives.
Though. That one I see more than a lawnmower. Like a lawnmower is something that any 17-year-old who's not an inner city 17-year-old should be familiar with how to do.
Yeah.
I was mowing my family's lawn, I think when I was 10. My best friend always laughed at me because I had to like lean so far into it to get it to move, because we didn't have one of those self-propelled mowers. They had just a regular push mower. So
But if we're a small business and a small company that understands like, hey, we can't do certain things with kids. I said, these people employ 17,000 people. They have to have an HR department that's big enough that understands like, hey, we can't do this.
Yeah, but I don't know. Do you think the places that they were cleaning, like the operators knew that it was kid? Do you think they see? Because the cleaning almost always goes on overnight.
Oh, they shut down. See,
they absolutely do.
Yeah, you don't let someone into your meat plant and not keep supervision on them.
No, I would imagine that they do, because they're not. They can't be there 24 hours a day. They have to go home and sleep at some point.
I don't know. I bet somebody from the plant is there. I don't think I would doubt that they're letting them do everything totally unsupervised. I could be wrong.
I would bet. I would bet that they are in there unsupervised. Would be my guess. If that is the case, then, I mean, I understand minding your own business to a certain degree, but if we had an electrician coming in and one of them was 10,
it'd be fairly obvious.
I'd be like, I'm going to call somebody because that's not right. Like now, if it was the lawn mowing company and the kid was 10, I was like, good, put that little kid to work. But, electricity is dangerous. So, now, we don't need to go into this one too far, but refined carbs and meat driving global rise in type 2 diabetes, study says. I believe one of those two things is causing it.
How does... what?
It's just more... First of all, it's CNN, so, Second of all,
red meat must cause everything to them. It causes...
cancer. It's bad for your gut microbiome. It probably, they would say it causes autism if they could. They'll try and sneak that one in there at some point. Bad for the environment. What else?
Don't eat multiple different types of meat when you're pregnant. That one still bothers me. We've talked about that before.
We have.
Not eating steak and deli meats and things like that. And I'm just like, that's just trash.
Which one makes sense? Is it sushi? There's one that actually makes sense why they tell them not to eat it. I think it is sushi because of the mercury in it or something, or the parasites.
Well, the parasites, even if sushi's prepared properly, it's fine.
And
it's
that's the
frozen
problem. If it's
to kill everything in
it. But if it's not
prepared, but that goes for everything under the sun. You could buy anything that if it wasn't prepared properly, it's going to get you sick. It could be something that came in a can. If it wasn't prepared properly, it could get you sick. Only
because we were talking about this makes me think of cold cuts. Both days we didn't eat our lunch, which is a pre-made sandwich, until middle of the day. And that usually here by 10 o'clock, I'm like, I would like to eat lunch now. But when you're so focused on doing this, if you had asked me right before I opened that lunchbox, I would have been like, I'm not hungry. I ate that sandwich in it was a good sized sandwich in 6 bites. Anyways, sorry. All right. Anything else on that?
No.
I don't. Okay. Drug-resistant bacteria found in 40% of supermarket meat samples. Now, this is, first of all, it's from Medical News Today, but I found this same article in other places. The study is in Spain, not the US, but it does show that the overuse of antibiotics could possibly have effect in the US as well. We're going to circle a little bit here. Infections caused by drug-resistant bacteria killed an estimated 700,000 people. Trusted source worldwide. Trusted source is what the thing is called. The link is called worldwide each year. That number is projected to reach 10 million by 2050 if current trends continue, according to the World Health Organization. Okay, so that obviously put a big pause in me. I'm like, first, 700,000 is a huge number. 10 million is an unbelievable number. That's number of people who are killed a year by drug-resistant bacteria, not the drug-resistant bacteria that's found in meat. So that's just general overall drug-resistant bacteria. This is a complete nonsense line in there. Not that I would view Medical News Today as any huge authoritative source, but I will not listen to anything they say at all going forward because that's absolutely ridiculous. Drives me nuts.
Yeah. It's interesting.
When it comes down to it, as much as I love meat, right? I love the taste of it. I love the process of cooking it, of making jerky, sausage, anything. I love everything about it, right? I love the fact knowing that I killed an animal and then I'm going to eat it. Okay. The main reason I will never give it up is because you're trying to make me. Like, that's it. That's what it comes down to. You can't tell me what to do. And I will push back with the same amount of force that you push it. So the more they push it, the more I'm going to push back. And we can shatter all of the vegans' lives by just getting a couple of hundred mice, a couple of hawks, a couple of badgers, some deer, and kill them in front of them and say, hey, this is what went into making your tofu burger. You don't kill less animals than I do. You kill more animals than I do. We are nice enough to not bring that up all that much because we know it's important to you. But really, you kill more things than we do. Plus, I mean, plants are alive, right?
It's up for debate.
They're sentient.
No, they're not.
They make changes. Not. They make changes based on their environment.
Yeah.
I have no idea if this is, I believe this to be true. When they played the sound of a caterpillar chewing leaves, they've proven that some bushes will change their chemical makeup so that they no longer resemble, like they're no longer smell or taste or give off the, I don't know if they give off pheromones, off the scent that they normally do. Yeah. So they are reacting to their environment.
I've heard of that, but they're still not sentient. I don't.
Yeah, okay. Sentient's too much.
But I don't think they're. One could argue that they're alive. I don't
understand how one could argue that they're not alive.
Because technically, so this is something from long time ago. I don't know if this has changed or not. I want to say it's probably 20, 25 years old. One point in time, I was reading this thing about what qualifies like something as living. You have to meet X, Y, Z, all these different things. One of the things that you have to meet is you have to excrete. Plants, trees, grass, they do not excrete.
Of course they do.
They therefore are not alive.
They take in CO2 and release O2.
It's not excrete. It's not the same.
I think they're alive, John.
Thank you. You're wrong.
They react to music differently based off of...
My plant knows when I'm in the room. Your plant maybe doesn't. Mine's
he talks
special.
Nice to one plant and doesn't the other, and this one flourishes and that one doesn't.
That's exactly. Yeah, I have no idea if that's true. I don't really want to argue that because you might be right.
Yeah, I only argue if I know I'm right.
All right, moving on. Adams applauds New York City hospitals for feeding patients plant-based meals over meat by default in climate push.
No, that's horrible.
Thank God I'm out of the hellscape that is New York. I mean, what a terrible place. And you're living in the least healthy environment imaginable and then saying you're doing things for the good of the environment. You want to do something good for the environment? Dismantle those cities. Move out. Spread. Don't come here because I don't want you. I don't think people should be able to vote when they move to a new state for like 3 years.
Vote on what?
Anything.
I think you're going to lose that argument.
I know I'm going to lose that argument. That's what I think. All right. But yeah, you know, record numbers of homeless. You got the knockout game is back in vogue in New York City, but they're going to worry about what you're feeding patients in hospital when really those people probably need a healthy meal with a lot of protein more than anybody else.
I need to do some look and see if there's a study of like truly who's healthier if you ate a diet solely consisting of plant-based meat or someone who's on the carnivore diet.
I will do this with you. I will do the carnivore diet and you go back to, it doesn't have to be vegan. It just has to be plant-based.
No. Yeah. Still no. No.
I'll do it.
You'll do the plant-based?
You just have to buy all.
Walton's has to buy all the carnivore too.
Comes out of your budget.
I don't want to do that.
How much? Okay. What like my full day would be eating all plant-based meat stuff.
Well, just pizzas, I imagine.
Pizza. Yeah.
Why would you eat anything else?
Yeah, sounds good.
No, that's not enough. It has to be plant-based meat.
Yeah, so it's
pizza.
like I'm eating.
That's mostly other stuff. You'd have to eat like Morningstar crumbles, like all that. That's only that. Yeah, because carnivore diet, you're going to eat only a hamburger, no bread, no lettuce, no bun. You're eating meat and salt.
My funeral cost too.
Are you talking about the same thing for what Patrick has to do? He has to eat just the bun.
Yeah,
or everything but no bun.
Yeah, no bun. Solely.
I'm trying to get in shape, so this could maybe help me. So,
if you would agree to that, I could make his portion of that work.
It'd make my dinners really hard at home, though.
So, my wife hated it when I was vegan for a week. It made doing dinners at home together impossible.
Yeah. See, my wife and I don't eat the same thing hardly ever.
Yeah, this would be perfect. You should just do it, John.
No, you should do it
both
ways.
One way. A week on.
No.
It would see,
Patrick. I just offered to buy all your food for a week.
Yeah. Listen, man. I want that. I don't want to hear about it while I go.
Yeah, fair enough. You better hope she doesn't listen to this podcast, just like I hope my wife doesn't.
Wait, I just gonna.
All right. Meat culture war looks goofy. It's deadly serious from the New Republic. Now, before we talk about this, just know that I've never read anything that has convinced me that we're on the right side of the argument so much as this article has. I wanted to just, if I ever saw either one of these authors, I don't know that they've eminently punchable faces starting off, just like very much like, hey, punch me. They look that way. Second of all, I went through half of the research thinking one of the authors was a girl. So I was being a little bit nicer. And then I looked him up and it's a dude with the name of Jan. Probably tells you everything you need to know. Eat bugs, live in a pod is not a meme. It's their real agenda, tweeted the conservative provocateur Mike Cernovich to his 1.1 million followers last month. The tweet was responding to an Anodyne Economist story about the role of meat consumption in global climate emissions. And unless you're deep into online culture, it's probably incomprehensible. Cernovich was referring to a theory increasingly beloved by the right's keyboard culture warriors that a shady cabal of elite globalists is conspiring to make everyone on Earth eat bugs instead of burgers. Why elite globalists would choose this particular plot is unclear. Of all of the so-called alternative proteins that have been suggested as a replacement for meat in the American diet, insects are both the option that is already most widely eaten around the world and the one least likely to replace mainstays like pork, chicken, and beef among affluent global North consumers. So, first of all, calling them culture warriors, provocateur. Cernovich isn't a provocateur. He is a commenter. Made me really, really annoyed. And the fact that they say it's the least, why have you chosen this one? And then they have to put in, but this is also the one that's most widely eaten across the world. So we see what you're doing here. These two authors, one of them is Jan Dutkitz, is a Harvard Law School alum. So they're smart enough. They know what they're doing. This obsession with bugs, though, perfectly encapsulates the insipid but dangerous battlefield that meat now represents in America's perpetual culture war. From the right-wing trolls disparaging references to effeminate left-wing soy boys to the stomach-churning embrace of hyper-masculinity or masculine carnivore diets. Okay, real quick. Why is eating a all-meat diet hyper-masculine? How does that make any sense? That makes literally no sense. I would bet, I'll save that comment.
There's boy food and girl food. Everybody knows that.
Yep. All dogs are boys and all cats are girls.
Yeah.
It's clear conservatives' darker fantasies aren't just about threats to a dietary staple, but also about threats to liberty, bodily integrity, and masculinity of American men. I would bet you that both of these authors do not get along with other men.
Why is eating red meat a right-wing men activity only? Like,
it's not.
I'm pretty sure it's a basic human thing.
We have tons of leftists on Meatgistics. They love eating meat.
Okay, but what is meat? Protein. Who uses a lot of protein? People that work out a lot. Who works out a lot? Everybody. Like,
my wife.
Just so many different, liberal, conservative. It makes
no sense.
It's nothing to do with your politics. Yeah. That's, I mean, yeah, for Meatgistics, there's a lot of guys, when something political comes up at all, they're like, hey guys, shut it down. And that's great.
They police each other. Like I saw somebody and like 3 people in me are like, hey, no politics here. We don't want politics. So
yeah, because we all care about meat. We all like meat. That's what we're here for. We're not left and right wing going, you should eat meat, not eat meat. Like it's
at all. Like I'm fairly conservative. Joe Hell is fairly liberal, leftist, whatever you call himself. He and I get along amazingly. Like we talk outside of stuff, like great guy.
These ideologies get mascots and then people just get on the mascot head and just like, oh, me or anti. And it's just like, it's not even down to the person to person.
So, okay. I was just saying that I'm not going to do it because you're trying to make me. So maybe that is the right wing portion of it. More like you can't tell me what to do.
It's just your libertarian side.
Yeah. Yeah, because how did that become a right wing? Yeah, whatever. The second author...
I'd argue, even that is not even right wing. Libertarian, I think, is a right and left wing. That's a both.
It should be.
It's a both.
So the best thing I ever heard from a libertarian standpoint was from Dave Smith. He has this saying, I haven't heard him say it in a while, but he used to say, attack the left from the left and the right from the right. So show the parts of libertarian that are more right than most conservatives and the parts that are more left than most liberals. That was genius, and it made me rethink kind of like how I look at everything. He's running for president, and I would probably, or he hasn't announced yet, but everyone like kind of knows he's going to be the libertarian candidate. Anyways, the second author is Gabriel Nathan Rosenberg, an associate professor at Duke of Gender, Sexuality, and Feminist Studies. I would like that guy to just go hunt your food for one time in your life, feel the accomplishment of feeding yourself. And I don't know what kind of family you have, but your family. When this bubble bursts, we're in a recession. Those are the type of jobs that people are going to be like, you used to do what?
No, we're already in a recession.
It's going to get so much worse than it is.
I think it could get worse, but people don't. There's been a lot of comments over the past 6 months about, talking about recession. I'm like, no, we are in one. Classically, looking at everything, we are in a recession.
We are in a recession that maybe mimics what came after 2008. What I'm talking about is basically a shade below the Great Depression. So, all right, moving on. Scientists confirm benefits of red meat livestock production. Now, this is from the National Hog Farmer, and obviously they are a fair and honest arbiter of this news. They do not have any dog in this fight.
You at least could go to this, and the other site, I mean, it's a news site, and you're like, oh, this is supposed to be news, and it's not. It's an opinion piece. This one, you at least go to the site, and you're like, oh, nationalhogfarmer.com.
I do want you to
know what side they're coming from.
I do want you to take back that you just called the New Republic a news site, because it is absolutely not.
I have no idea what it is. I've never heard of it.
Propaganda.
That's all. Yeah, news site. I don't know.
Yeah, that's actually probably
that's what news is anymore.
Okay, the Animal Frontiers is the third most cited journal in agriculture, dairy, and animal science. The journal editors, guest editors, and authors are among the nearly 1,000 signatories of the declaration warning that livestock systems are too precious to society to become the victims of simplification and reductionism. Now, what was interesting, it's not in that part, but 1 in 6 people on the planet Earth are in the farming or food industry in some way.
So does that, or do we qualify?
We would be,
okay,
yes.
That makes sense.
But that's still huge. I mean,
yeah, but they'd probably
restaurants, workers at like Dillon's, grocery stores, obviously farmers, obviously anyone slaughtering, raising cow, but
they'd probably say everyone who works at Amazon is in the food industry then, because of all that they do that people don't see on the data side, running the background and servers for so many different companies.
Okay, but then
on Amazon, you can buy food.
Do you think so you then think it's everyone in Amazon gets lumped in?
I don't know. That's
interesting.
The number would make sense. It depends depending on how you classify.
It's a shocking number.
Yeah.
Okay. Peer-reviewed evidence published today reaffirms that the most prominent global study, which claimed that consumption of even tiny amounts of red meat harms health, is fatally scientifically flawed and should be retracted, said Elise Stanton of the Royal College of Surgeons of Ireland. In fact, removing fresh meat and dairy from diets would harm human health. Women, children, the elderly, and those of low income would be particularly negatively impacted. Not to mention, I'm just going to continue doing whatever I want. But yeah, really interesting article. I would highly recommend people go eat that or go read that. What are the nutritional outcomes of removing meat or poultry from healthy dietary patterns? This is from news-medical.net, but it does have basically all of its sources. So it says removing 85 grams serving of USDA meat composite from the USP, which is the usual standard plan, meal plan, reduces protein by 23%, iron and copper by 11%, vitamin B12 and cholesterol by 28%. And remember, cholesterol is not a bad thing to eat. Sodium by 18%, selenium and niacin by 21%. So it's all these small little micronutrients that you really probably aren't going to get anywhere else. They might be in other things, but the question is whether or not they're bioavailable or not, meaning leafy greens have a ton of iron. You cannot get as much iron from spinach, no matter how much you eat, that you can from a steak. The findings showed that removing meat poultry serving of 85 grams from USP and MSP reduced macro and micronutrients by more than 10% from the baseline. Interestingly, the reductions were consistent for many nutrients and even when adjusted for calories associated with removing meat and poultry servings. So meaning they removed this and added more of other things, it's still, you're not able to make that gap up without meat because we are not herbivores. You ever seen how jacked a gorilla is, like silverback?
Mm-hmm. They have. I wonder, what does a gorilla really look like if you shave off all the fur? Are they just do they look like just a big dude, or are they ripped?
They're ripped.
I like that dude that played The Thing or whatever. Or just look like him. The guy from The Shield. You know his name.
Michael Chiklis?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. No, they are ripped, and they eat only vegetables. But they have a completely different stomach system than we do. They're able to break all that down. We're not. You could argue. We're omnivores, really. You could argue that some people are okay being herbivores, but really, we're omnivores. You're supposed to be eating some form of meat.
Point to our PhDs back there, too.
To our PhDs?
Our PhDs back there. Not there.
He's confused me.
I say we can't really give we don't know anything about anything. So let's just.
I should get a fake.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
PhD.
And we print up our own little posters.
We did.
I'm going to take all the classes I've made and start putting them up there. Start having those up there.
Oh, that's a dig. That's funny.
Yeah, wouldn't be bad.
Maybe around your desk, just kind of.
No, on camera. I want them on camera.
We need to go back to
Dr. Jeff Sindelar told me that.
We need to go back to, I think we talked about this at one point, doing some sort of deal like that for when people get through all the Meatgistics University stuff.
Yeah, Justin's got he's down that path.
We should give ourselves completion certificates for all of those.
Mine's going to be gold.
We did it all.
I get special. All right, last one. Italy's lab meat skeptics should just get out of the way, from Bloomberg. Italy's right-wing, there's a lot of nonsense in this. Italy's right-wing government provoked immediate controversy when it proposed banning the production of lab-grown meats to safeguard our nation's heritage. The farm lobby cheered, scientists protested, and the conflict began to sound eerily akin to Europe's protracted battle over genetically modified crops. I could only think, here's another hugely promising technological frontier stymied by false claims and misguided public skepticism. It's not stymied by any of that. It's that they want to do things the traditional way and they don't want lab-grown meat brought in because a huge portion of their economy is based around the raising, slaughter, and then production of hogs. And they don't want to let you come in and change that. And you shouldn't be able to, and you shouldn't even want to. Like, why do we want to control what other countries do? I don't want to control what my neighbors do.
Yeah.
As long as they leave me alone.
Yeah, but other people don't have that same mentality. That's what they want to do, is they want to tell everybody what to do. And that's just the issue, is from the very core of things, totally opposite on your just mentality about life. Like, you want to be left alone. Someone else is like, we need to take care of everyone else and not let them be left to their,
I don't want anyone ever
left on their own.
I'd prefer if other people didn't even think of me. Like, hey, how's he doing? I hope that doesn't cross other people's minds. But yeah, like I said, I'm not eating meat or cultured meat because I don't trust them, where it's coming from. I don't trust anything new like that's huge and shaking. I mean, we've talked about in the past, but there were plenty of drugs that passed the FDA that never should have been taken by, I mean, look at oxycodone or cotton. All those things never should have been prescribed to people. So just because, the FDA says it's okay, that doesn't mean it's okay.
Yeah. I wouldn't eat the lab-grown meat just after our conversation from last week and
with the immortalized
cells and stuff. That sounds too scary and like a bad idea that we'll regret 30 years from now.
My real problem with all of this, and Patrick brought it up though, isn't even so much that. It is the everything being activism now. None of those articles, including the ones we liked, or not liked, but the ones that, are from our side, National Hog Farmer, none of that's journalism. It's all activism.
It's all opinion pieces, yeah.
That's all you can find anymore, though. There is nobody who just gives out straight news. It used to be a long time ago. Sky News would do it, but they're all opinion now. NPR is a joke. BBC sucks. Any of the 3 letters in America are terrible.
News is hard to write. Like, just the style of it. I remember I had classes where, like, specifically, like, my fiction and creative stuff was great. My, like, AP news style stuff, terrible.
Yeah, because it takes
it takes a dedicated, exact, like, no fluff, nothing, no frill.
That's what we need.
And to find just facts that fill out a full page or paragraph, that's tough.
That's what we need to go back to, though.
Yeah, there'd be a lot less on. You go to any website right now, it's just like 3 major stories they're all kind of covering, don't want to cover, and then what's the bottom? 30, 40 just clickable pictures that are just like, ooh, what is that? What's going on there?
What there used to be was, either conservative or liberal journalists, and then they go hand in their story to their editor, and their editor would be like, no, you can't say this, you can't say this, you can't say this. And now it's shifted so far one way at most newspapers and so far the other at some, and everybody's in the same silo, and they're like, oh yeah, do that. Oh, you should also say this about him. Call him a poo-poo head. That'll do it.
Well, now that I actually have news up in front of me, it's like a billboard. It's like an electronic moving billboard, just different things that pass by, and the bigger the picture, the more money spent.
Yep.
Trying to get it out there.
So this is our fault, really.
Yeah.
I don't mean Walton's. I mean us.
You just need to find a way to monetize straight news better. It's because news that is one way or another, and it gets people emotional and excited, and it's great to monetize.
Yeah, one of the worst things that ever happened was Facebook understanding that rage got more clicks than like. So...
Oh, yeah. People love finding a good argument or a near fight on the internet out of nowhere.
Kept almost wanting to eat that, so I had to throw it out. So
I can't have it. But yeah, just those internet tough guys just trying to watch people be as tough as they think they are. So I don't know. Terrifying.
I got nothing else.
Really?
Is there something else?
No, I'll take it out from here. You can just turn your mic off. So thanks everybody for listening so far. And if you haven't already, make sure you go to meatgistics.com and join Team Orange and help support.
Yeah. This is sad. I'm sad for you. I'm sad for you. For those who don't know, Team Blue has always had more members. Austin
Not
went
always.
in. Always.
For a long period of time here.
Since we started keeping track. Austin went in and did some code thing that encouraged people to sign up for Team Orange, and now he's changed it since he's ahead that it will be Team Orange and Team Blue.
Oh, this is perfect. There's an article just shared on Fox News. McDonald's Fries flavor secret shared on TikTok shocks customers. Bad news for vegetarians.
That's just like.
Why is it?
Click me
You
to
gotta
find out.
I don't know. I gotta read it. I have to read it, Austin.
Because it's going to be that it has animal fats.
It's because they fry with beef flavoring mixed with their vegetable oil.
Ooh, I like it.
It's almost an art form, finding the exact answer in a longly written.
It really is.
Anyway,
what is the current count?
263 to 248. It's actually kind of depressing considering how many total members we have. We do a very bad job of actually getting people to join one side or another.
Because most of our members like us both, I assume. They don't want to.
Most of our members just don't care that we have a silly argument going on back and forth.
That could be our first poll or whatever. Are you team orange or team blue? And see what it really goes. So.
Well, I mean, I think we have the...
No. I'm talking about, I want a fresh slate. There might be some Benedict Arnolds there too that are just
some cheaters
saying they're team whatever and they're not team whatever.
I remember I refused to talk about the team orange, team blue thing because somehow I got in my mind that Brett hated it, that it annoyed Brett. So I just like never brought it up. You brought it up and I tried and like move right along. And then we were talking about that and I told you that's why I was doing that. And you're like, oh, he doesn't, what are you talking about? He doesn't care.
Well, I don't know if he cares or not, but...
So you lied to me. You told me he doesn't care.
I don't think
when he does.
I think I meant to say, and he's going to listen to this and he's going to be mad at me probably now, but I don't care if he cares unless he comes to me and like says like, no, I absolutely don't like this. But I know even if he doesn't like it, it drives engagement and fun things. And it's nothing that's bad. And if it was about just Waltons, if we did this on Waltons.com, I wouldn't do it.
Right.
It's silly. But it's because it's on Meatgistics. And Meatgistics we don't monetize Meatgistics. Like there's nothing we sell on it. It's a place to hang out and have fun.
There's also a good chance that by the time you listen to this, or there's a chance that Meatgistics has been updated to version 3.0. We'll see. He never responded whether or not we can do tomorrow.
Okay.
So we'll find out. Cool. All right. Thanks, guys.
Join Team Orange.
Team Blue for life.
Thanks for checking out the Meatgistics podcast. To shop everything but the meat, head on over to Waltons.com. To get your meat processing questions answered by experts and enthusiasts alike, head on over to our online community at Meatgistics.com. Waltons, everything but the meat.